Hello everyone, my name is Asyrafchazz and welcome back to yet another One Piece card game video. And now we're gonna talk about the yellow cards from OP-03. Man, there's a lot of cards in this set. I wanted to put all of them in one video, but I couldn't. I gotta split it into 6 parts. But anyway, we're gonna talk about yellow cards today. Last color for the OP-03. If you want to see the rest, all of them will be in the description below. And also, I will be opening up a box or two of OP-03 Mighty Enemy on the 11th of February. The video will be up during the release date itself, so you can check it out. Hopefully we get to pull some really good cards. Hopefully we get some of that wanted poster rare so we can actually see how it looks like in person. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and subscribing if you want to keep up to date with more One Piece card game content. Without further ado, let's take a look at the last color that we've not talked about, the yellow cards from OP-03 Mighty Enemies. Alright, so I am using a very roughly translated Google Translate version of the website. Fortunately, the one from the Asia region of the website, the English translation isn't up yet, but I am referring to the translations over on Discord. So shout out to Helmsman Helio, the GOAT himself. If you are not in the Discord, please join and you can see the card effects for yourself. But we will just talk about the leaders first, and then we're going to talk about all the other yellow cards. So starting with Charlotte Lindley. Now, if you want a full breakdown of the leaders, this and of course Charlotte Katakuri, I have a video talking about all of the OP-03 leaders, as well as a tier list that I did with Blackbeard TCG, talking about them more in depth. So just to go briefly over the effect, this is Charlotte Lindley, a black and yellow leader, Big Mom herself, 5000 power with 4 life. So Dawn 2, when attacking, pay 2 Dawn. You can discard 1 card from your hand. If your life is at 1 or less, you may add the top card of your deck to your life area. This is, I've spoken about this card. The cost of like the health recovery is really quite high for this one, and I think they just want to balance it out because they don't want to make it so easy to actually recover life, you know, because I think like there were problems with it when it came to like Digimon. So I guess that's a good way to kind of mitigate that. I think this leader will see some play eventually, but not in the early days of the metagame. Once like the meta diverges a little bit, Big Mom will definitely see some play when people try to experiment with the deck itself. But let's just move on. Next up, we got Charlotte Katakuri. So Charlotte Katakuri is the yellow leader that the leader that I'm most excited about to play, honestly. So 5000 power. His ability is Dawn 1 when attacking. Look at the top card of yours or your opponent's life, and then place it at the top or bottom of the life area. Then this leader gains 1000 power for the duration of the battle. This is essentially a 7000 power leader every single time, so as long as you attach a Dawn to it. It's really good. And like from the Big Mom game that I posted up, information, especially at the last few stages of the game, it's really quite good, because then you'll like find out the exact cards they have in their life and what they potentially could be countering with. Charlotte Katakuri definitely going to be a really strong leader moving forward. Next, we got King Bomb. 3 cost 5000 power. Its triggered ability is you may trash the top or bottom of your life, then you can play this card. So I'm not really feeling this card as much because, you know, you have to actually, you know, trash a card from your life to play this card from your life. So I don't think it's really quite good, so we'll just move on. Next, we got Kemi. 1 cost 3000 power with counter 1000. I'm glad Kemi is in the set. This is your 1 cost 3000 vanilla, so let's move on. Next up, we have Sanji, and this artwork, the feels, man. The feels from this artwork is really well done. 2 cost 3000 power with counter 2000, so yellow can potentially use it. And his ability is Dawn 2 when attacking. You may add the bottom or the top card of your life to your hand, then add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to your life area. So the effect is not really, you know, nothing to write home about, but it's a 2000 counter and it is searchable by one of the searches for yellow, which we'll talk about later on. So there you go, 2000 counter. It's definitely going to be in the deck somehow. So let's move on. Next, we have Bobbin the Disposer. 2 cost 4000 power with counter 1000. This is your 2 cost 4000 vanilla. So let's move on. Next up, we have Charlie, number 1 mermaid waifu. 3 cost 3000 power with counter 1000. It has blocker. She has blocker. And on play, look at the top of your opponent's life and place it at the top or bottom of its owner's life. So I think this card is really good. It's information. It has counter. It's a blocker. What more do you want? Perfect card. 10 out of 10. Moving on. Next up, we got Charlotte Oven. 3 cost 4000 power with counter 1000. His ability is Dawn 1. When attacking, you may discard a card with trigger from your hand. This character gains plus 3000 power during this battle. So in certain situations where you want to go aggressive and you want to pump up Charlotte Oven's power by 3000, you can just discard a card with trigger from your hand. And seeing how yellow will have a lot because you can kind of manipulate your life that way, and you want trigger cards in your deck and your hand, then Charlotte Oven is good. Outside of that, I think it's just an average card. It's probably going to maybe see some play, maybe not, depending on what the metagame calls for it. But as of now, I think it's just okay. Next up, we got Charlotte Opera, 4 cost 6000 power with counter 1000. This is your 4 cost 6000 power vanilla, so let's move on. Next up, we got Charlotte Garrett, 2 cost 2000 power with counter 1000, and it's a blocker. So that's a good card. I think it's definitely going to be used in Big Mom decks as an early game blocker. So let's move on. Alright, next up we got Charlotte Cracker, our one of the super rares for yellow, 4 cost 5000 power with counter 1000. Its ability is Dawn 1. While you have less life than your opponent, this character gains double attack and 1000 power. That's like almost a 7000 power beater. And its trigger ability is you may discard 1 card from your hand to play this card. So it's a strong card to trigger from your life for sure. At the cost of only discarding 1 card from your hand, I think this card is really quite good, and you can put it into your life with Big Mom's ability. I think Cracker is really good. Artwork is pretty baller as well. Next up, we got Charlotte Chiffon, 2 cost 3000 power, and her ability is on play. You may trash the top or bottom of your life. Place up to 1 card from the top of your deck at the top of your life. So we see Sanji has this kind of effect as well. I don't think it's really quite good unless we have a card that manipulates the top 5 cards of your deck. As of now, we don't. I have a feeling it's not going to be out in this set, maybe in the next one that could potentially, yellow can potentially benefit from. So there you go. But as of now, I think it's just a below average card. Alright, next up we got Charlotte Smoothie, 4 cost 5000 power with counter 1000. Her ability is when attacking, you can add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand. Then this character gains plus 2000 power during this battle. Her trigger ability is you may discard 1 card from your hand and play this card. So I don't think that Charlotte Smoothie is that strong, honestly, because you have to add a card from top or bottom of your life to your hand to kind of make her 7000 power. Though there are some situations where you want cards in your hand from your life, but your opponent's going to be heavily attacking into you anyway, so it's kind of like a average card for me. Next we got Charlotte Praline, 3 cost 5000 power with counter 1000. This is your 3 cost 5000 vanilla. Great artwork. So let's move on. Alright, next up we got Charlotte Pudding, 1 cost 2000 power with counter 1000, and on play, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with the Big Mom Pirates type or Sanji other than Charlotte Pudding and add it to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this card is your dedicated Big Mom searcher and also Sanji searcher, kind of thematic that way. And the good thing about this is that, if you need the counter 2000 for Sanji, you can look for Sanji. If you need like Big Mom Pirate cards, you can use Charlotte Pudding. So it's not top 5 cards, but top 4 is good enough. Maybe yellow, it can get really quite powerful if it's top 5 cards, which is why they went with 4 cards. Still a necessary staple for yellow. So let's move on. Next up, we got Charlotte Perespero, 3 cost 5000 power, and his ability is when KO, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with the Big Mom Pirates type and add it to your hand, then put the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this is also another dedicated searcher, but it's with a caveat of on KO. Its trigger ability is also you can discard 1 card from your hand and then you can play this card. I think this card is really good. Definitely, and it's a super rare for yellow, so this card is definitely really quite good. If you can use it, you can use Big Mom's ability to put Charlotte Perespero in your life or through other means as well, and then you can play it out by discarding 1 card once your opponent attacks into your life, and then you can just be annoying with Perespero as he usually is, and then once it KO, you can just search the top 3 cards of your deck to find a Big Mom Pirates, and you can keep on going and making sure that your plays can continue. I think this card is a really good card. It's a very interesting searcher because it's on KO, but I really quite like it. Alright, next up we got the 10 cost super rare Big Mom, Charlotte Lindley, 10 cost 12,000 power, and her ability is on play. If your leader has the Big Mom Pirates type, add 1 card from the top of your deck to your life, then after that put up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life into the trash. So trash your opponent's life and you get to gain 1. This is Soul Pokers. This is Big Mom's 7 cost super rare from the starter deck's ability, all put into 1 card. I've talked about this card in depth. I think it's really good. This card is definitely going to be one of those meta defining cards, though people have to kind of know that it's not like super broken because it is 10 cost after all, but I think it's really good. So let's move on. So next up, we got Strusen. 1 cost, 1000 power with counter 2000. So immediately really quite good. On play, you may discard 1 card with trigger from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less. So another card that deals with the 1 or less problem. Maybe someone out there in Bandai really hates Zoro players. I don't know. Yeah, this card could be useful in some situations. Although I do think that it's going to be used for the counter 2000 most of the time. So yeah, definitely needed in a Big Mom deck, but the effect is kind of secondary. Next up, we have Shirahoshi, one of the best artworks on a card for this set. 5 cost, 0 power with counter 1000, and on play, draw 3 cards and discard 2 cards from your hand, and trigger ability is to play this card. I think this card is good, but I really, it's a 5 cost card essentially, and after you play it, it just sits there on the field. I think okay, maybe it's not good, maybe it's just like an average. Does Big Mom want to play Shirahoshi? I'm not sure. Does maybe other yellow decks in the future will want to play Shirahoshi? Drawing 3, discarding 2 can filter out your draws if you need to. Maybe in the late game, maybe you put like 1 or 2 copies in your deck just in case you need to use her. But if you can find a way to put Shirahoshi into your life and make it appear, then it gets really good, because then you can just like draw 3 and discard 2 for free essentially. So maybe that's the way that Big Mom wants to play. If you have Shirahoshi in your hand and you use Big Mom's ability to kind of manipulate your life, then you can put Shirahoshi on top of your life area and then get the draw 3 discard 2 trigger once you play it out. So maybe in that situation then it gets a little bit better. Alright, next up we got Napoleon. Napoleon is 3 cost, 3000 power with counter 1000, and his ability is activate main. You may rest this character up to one of your Charlotte Lindley gains 1000 power until the start of your next turn. The trigger ability is play this card. So similar to Zeus and Prometheus, Napoleon also helps Charlotte Lindley character cards, or maybe even leaders, I'm not sure. And yeah, you can definitely play this out if you want to. I think 3 cost, 3000 power is where these cards kind of the stat line is kind of at. Anything stronger is probably going to be like a super rare or rare. But yeah, Napoleon's pretty cool. I'm curious to see if people will play a little bit of a mix between Zeus, Prometheus, and of course Napoleon. We gotta see in the future. Alright, now we are going into the yellow event cards. Anyway, we got this Ikoku Sovereignty, I believe that's what it's called. 2 cost event card. It's counter up to one of your leader or character gains plus 5000 power during this battle. And its triggered ability is you may discard 2 cards from your hand, add 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life. So it's recovery. Although you have to discard 2 cards from your hand, it is still recovery if you trigger this card from your life. The counter ability, it's just, yeah, 2 costs plus 5000 power, not 4000, 5000. This is definitely going to be a very interesting event card that I think Big Mom players will definitely play. I think it's strong. I think it's really strong. And yeah, your opponent now has to kind of play around a 5000 power counter in the future. That's pretty cool. Alright, next up we got Buzz Cut Mochi. 2 cost event card with the ability main. If you have less life than your opponent, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. Its triggered ability is play up to 1 character with trigger with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. So I think this card is really good. It's a straight removal for things that you want to get rid of, and its triggered ability lets you play something for free essentially. Like for Big Mom, you probably will end up at a lower life count if you're activating certain abilities that require you to take 1 card from your life into your hand to use the ability. Then this card gets immediately better, as well as the super rare Charlotte Katakuri from the Big Mom starter deck. I think this card is really good. Whether or not people will be playing like a certain number, we have to wait and see, but not bad. I think this card is really not bad. Alright, next up we have Tropical Torment, Atami Onsen. 3 cost event card with the ability main. If your opponent has 4 or more life, place up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life in the trash. Then its trigger ability is to activate this card's main effect. So immediately it's just like, okay, your opponent has 5 life, 4 life, boom, you get rid of 1. It's straight up life removal. But the thing is, it's like if you draw this in the late game when your opponent's down to like 3 or lower life, this is literally a dead card. You cannot do anything with this card. We have to kind of wait and see whether this card will see like play in the future. I highly doubt so, just because you want to save your slots for like either counters or cards that actually affect the board game state. Attacking the life directly, but only if your opponent has 4 or more life cards, it's like such a situational thing. I don't think it's that good, so I'll just put it like at a below average. Alright, next up we got Thunderbolt. I know it says Thunderstorm, but the translation is Thunderbolt. It's a 2-cost event card. Main, you may trash 1 card from the top of your life, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Its triggered ability is to KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. I think this card's really good. I think it's just straight up removal as well. I think it will see a certain number of play. If you can trash 1 card from your life to KO something that's 5 or less for only 2 costs, and at the same time turn on the abilities of other cards that require you to be at a less life than your opponent, then this card is really quite good. Also have to wait and see how many copies of this card will make it to all the yellow decks in the future. But if the meta calls for it, I think this card is definitely a necessary addition to yellow decks in the future. And next up, we have Charlotte Katakuri, our other secret rare from this set. 8 cost, 8000 power to striker attribute, and his ability is on play. Put up to 1 character that costs 8 or less at the top or bottom of its owner's life area face up. So you can use it for your own life recovery if you want to. Like for example, if you don't want a pair sparrow on your side of the field, you can set it back to your life area, or it's a straight up removal for one of your opponent's annoying threats. And 8 costs, 8, you got your Kozuki Odin, you got your Eustace Kid, you got a lot of threats, okay, with that you can deal with Charlotte Katakuri. I love this secret rare. I think this is a strong secret rare. You can use it offensively or defensively, and that's what Katakuri is all about, right? My only sad thing is that I wish this card had Rush. that would make it over the top, I know, but I like it. I love this card. Great card, 10 out of 10. Charlotte Katakuri for the win. And there you go. I finally talked about every single card from OP-03, ending off with yellow. What a trip. I think this set is absolutely amazing. I think there's a lot of strong decks all around. Not only for like one color is pushed, it's like every color has its own weapons and tools, and it's all pretty pushed. Red has Ace, Nami is in blue, we got, Kuro is pretty good as well, but we got the Galila Company and the new cards in yellow as well as the CP9 in black. I cannot wait to see the future of this game, especially when it comes to the OP-03 metagame. We'll probably take a closer look at how the Japanese players are playing it, how it's going over here in Singapore locals as well, and then we'll have another video talking about that in the future. But anyway, on the 11th of February, on the release day of OP-03 Mighty Enemies itself, I am going to be opening up a box or 2 of OP-03, so look out for that video. We're gonna open it up, we're gonna take a look at all the cards inside and see what we can get from our 2 boxes. I am also hoping that I can get a case. I did pre-order a case of this set, so I might do a live stream in the future, so look out for that as well. I'm excited to open some OP-03. Hope you guys can join me then. But until next time, I've talked about all the OP-03 cards. I am going to go crash right now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.